How's it going, everyone? What I'm going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate how simple it is to create a little wedge graft on an avocado tree. Through a lot of my videos, I actually stress the importance of when you eat a bit of fruit, grow the seed, and the beauty of growing that seed is you end up with quite an abundant little collection of rootstocks that you can practice grafting named varieties onto. So what you've got to start with is a little bit of scion wood. And this is off a little Hass avocado. And what's really important about when selecting your scion wood is make sure the little buds here are starting to swell up. They're almost ready to open up. That's very important. And also, if you're going to be away for a while and you're not going to do your graft for quite a while, keep this little fella in a nice little closed bag with a bit of moisture in there. Stop him from drying out. Second thing you're going to need is a little seed-grown avocado. Now this little fella here, he's about a year old. And as you can see, he's actively growing. He's got new tips on him, and that's also very important to remember as well. Your scion wood and your little rootstock that you're grafting onto, make sure they're active, make sure they're actively growing. Now the time from your little seed, from when it's planted to when it's ready to graft onto, it's normally around about a year old, give or take a month or so here and there. Make sure it's got a little fair bit of a diameter onto it, something to graft onto. And that's about all you're going to need for that side of the project. Next thing you're going to need, a pair of secateurs, grafting knife. This is just a utility knife. I like these things because they're always sharp, and if the blade goes blunt, I can just put a new blade in it. But a lot of people just use razor blades. A lot of the pros use a speciality grafting knife, which are quite expensive. But these little utility knives, they work a treat. Next thing you're going to need, and this is the most important thing, the grafting tape. Now this is just cheap stuff that I picked up off eBay, only a couple of bucks. And it's just like industrial strength cling wrap. It's definitely nowhere near as good as buddy tape or anything like that, but it works just as well. So let's get into it. So grab your little bit of scion wood here, and all you got to do is just remove the leaves. No need for them anymore. Just be careful not to injure the little buds. Just like that, and that's what you end up with, right? Now it's really important at this stage is not to let this dry out. So a good idea is to just grab your grafting tape and simply wrap this little scion up just to keep the moisture in there. Just like that. Not too tight. Nice and loose. But you just want to seal that moisture in there. Okay. You rappity. If you're using buddy tape, you can do that stuff pretty tight, and when these buds start swelling, it'll simply push through that buddy tape. This stuff here, you've got to physically take it off once that graft takes. So you can end up with something like that. Okay, nice and simple. So now you just got to take your knife, and what you want to do, because this is a wedge graft, that's pretty much all you got to do, is you just got to make a wedge on this piece of scion. Now there's heaps of ways to do the actual cutting here. I like to come away from it and towards myself, and I sort of run it on my thumb. So I can sit there like that, make the cut about, say, an inch long, and I want to start from about there, and I want to end up in the middle here for my first cut. So like that. Something like that. I want to flip him over to the other side. I'm going to do the same thing there. That's about all I want to do with that. Now, I must stress the importance of having a sharp knife. You don't want to be sitting there and whittling like an old mountain man. So you just want to do it in one slice, okay? One side and then the other side. So what you want to do now is you basically want to take your little scion and you want to find a position on this plant that they're almost the same diameter. Doesn't have to be exactly or spot on or anything like that, but the closer they are, the better the chance of this graft taking. So I want to be about there. Hold it with my thumb, won't lose it. Chop his little head off like that. Then you want to take your knife and you want to make an incision that's about the same depth as the little wedge that you just made on your scion. About there like that. And then we simply take your little scion wood and you put him into that little incision there. Just like so. Now, if this graft is to take, it's very important that at least one side is lined up almost perfectly. Underneath that bark, there's a little layer called the cambium layer, and it's responsible for healing all of this. If that cambium layer doesn't match up, the graft will simply fail. So you've got to spend a little bit of time, use your fingers, and make sure it's lined up as best as you can. Okay, and that seems pretty good. So now all I've got to do now is grab my grafting tape, start at the bottom down here somewhere, leave a little bit of a tail, and I'm going to wrap this up nice and tight. Just like that. And when I get to about here, I'm going to make sure that that hasn't moved. I'll put it in position and I'm going to wrap him up. It's very important when you're doing this to not let the air get in and to not let moisture get in. Okay, just like that. Now, a little trick with this cheap stuff. I've seen quite a few people do this, but it works a lot better than not doing it. You simply twist it like that. Some people use that same technique with rubber bands just to put pressure where that joint is, or where that graft is. Simply wrap him around like that. Has to be nice and tight. And that is pretty much done job. Okay. Now, once again, if you are using this cheap tape, in about 3 weeks, if I've done this right, this graft will start taking. And what I'm going to have to do is leave it a little bit longer. I'm going to have to start removing all this because the plant can't push through this. It's too tough. But buddy tape, if you're using buddy tape, it'll simply just push through it. It's definitely a better product, but I just don't have any. So, and that is pretty much it. Next thing I like to do is I like to make a little label. You see my little house here that I've just written on it. So I know what this scion is, and I know what potentially this tree is going to grow into. So I'll just take him, I'll wrap him on there like that. Nothing too out of control. Another good idea too is to put the date on there. I think it's the 5th today. Half a year gone already. Where's that gone? 5th of the 6th. Right. Now, that, my friends, is done job. It is as simple as that. So, once again, when you're eating your little avocado seed or your little mango seed or any other little seed like that, don't throw it away. Grow it on. Stick it in a little pot of soil and let it turn into a beautiful little tree. And then as time goes on, you can start grafting onto those little seeds and you can start getting a little bit smarter. And before you know it, you're going to be an absolute champion at it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a go if you can. Keep practicing. And wherever you are in the world, hope you're growing food. See you later. Bye-bye.